Hey everyone, so today I want to do an overview of Toro's new 60 volt max cordless electric power shovel. Now, full disclosure, Toro actually reached out to me after seeing some of my other videos and asked if I would be interested in doing an overview of this new unit. I basically said yes, absolutely. I think Toro is a great American company. I've been using their products for probably 25 years, and I have nothing but good things to say about their products. They've been absolutely fantastic, all the various equipment that I've had that I've used throughout the years. That being said, I will still give this an honest review. Now, Toro has made a corded version of this for a number of years now. However, now you have the versatility that you're no longer limited by the length of your extension cord. This being cordless, so you can pretty much take it anywhere you need to. Now, this is available in two versions. It's available as tool only, where it's just the power shovel. So if you're already on the Toro 60 volt max Flex Force platform and you already have existing batteries and chargers and you want to use those, you can get just the power shovel itself, or you can buy it how they provide it to me with the full kit with the battery and the charger included. Now, if you purchase it and have it sent to your house and it's in the box and it's not yet fully assembled, final assembly is very, very, very simple. All you basically need to do when it comes out of the box is, it will explain it as well in the instructions. You basically have to push the upper shaft into the clamp. It will then have a spring pin that will lock into place. You'll tighten down the wing nut, and you have to put the handle on. They will provide Allen keys for that. Very, very simple and easy for anybody to do. When it comes in the kit, it will also have the battery and the charger. The battery it comes with is their 60 volt max 2.5 amp hour lithium ion battery. I'm really glad Toro's doing lithium ion with these batteries. Lithium ion is much better than the older style nickel batteries. Lithium ion is what they use in modern electric cars and cell phones. They not only have typically a longer run time, but they also have a longer lifespan as well. Pretty simple cartridge style battery. It's got a little battery indicator on the top. Push the blue button and it'll let you know how much power the battery has in it. Toro claims with this electric snow shovel, you should get approximately a 45-minute run time, which is obviously dependent on the conditions, how wet or deep the snow is, and about a 60-minute recharge time. So very, very versatile and a pretty good run time with that. The charger itself has about a 6.5-foot cord, real simple, basic single battery charger. Has a light on the top letting you know what your battery status is when it's charging. It's got some rubber feet on the bottom if you want to leave it on a flat surface. It's also got mounts on the back if you want to mount it to a wall. So pretty basic battery charger, very simple for anybody to use. That being said, I'll just do a quick overview of the actual unit itself. What I like that they do with this new power shovel that I've seen other power shovels that don't have is they have an actual dedicated enclosed housing for the battery itself, because inevitably, if you're using this in the snow, it's going to get wet, especially if it's still snowing. You take this inside when you're done, you put it in the garage or wherever, and if it's above freezing, this thing's going to get completely wet, and you really don't want to get the batteries wet. You want to try to keep them dry as possible. So have a basic housing on the back here that's held together with a magnet, and it has a little pull release here, and then it has a little eject button on the top on the inside of the housing to release the battery. So the battery stays locked in, it stays dry. That's a much, much better setup. You have a rubberized handle on the top here. Very simple controls. You have a lockout on the top, and the throttle is on the bottom. So you have to engage the lockout first. If you try to just engage the throttle, it basically acts as a safety. So the upper and then the lower, and if the battery was in it, it would have just turned on. You have a speed selector, 1 for low speed, 2 for high speed. Real simple setup. The whole unit itself is held together by a steel shaft. Now, when I was putting this together out of the box, I was a little concerned by having the bulk of the weight on the one end and then the battery on the other, that they might have a little bit of flex to it. I'm happy to say this thing is rock solid. This thing has absolutely no flex to it. The steel shaft holds it together very, very nicely, and it doesn't bow or flex when you pick it up. The handle itself, plastic handle, has a rubberized coating on the bottom. You can mount it below the clamp or above the clamp. I put it below. I think it balances out the weight very nicely, putting it just below the clamp. One side isn't really any heavier than the other by putting it in that position. Now, obviously, at the head end of this unit itself, this is powered by a brushless DC motor, much better than the older style brush motors. They typically don't use as much power, and they usually offer a little bit better performance than the older style motors. The unit itself has about a 12-inch housing on, so you get about 12 inches of clearing width as you're going through the snow, and Toro recommends this for about 6 inches of snow depth. And this together will give you about a 25-foot throwing distance. Now, obviously, that is very dependent on the depth of the snow, the weight of the snow, whether it's light or whether it's wet snow. So obviously, that can vary significantly. On the bottom here, what I really like the Toro did is they're using this plastic skid on the bottom to protect the unit itself. And by putting these reliefs in the skid on the bottom, that means this has a very, very small contact patch. So this thing slides across the ground very, very easily. And this being plastic, it's not going to damage stuff that a traditional snowblower might. The skid is very easily replaced. It's got 4 screws that hold it in, so it's very easy to replace at home if need be, if you ever wear it out. And the skid will protect the auger and impeller from contacting the ground and getting scratched up. So this is basically the same setup as a single stage snowblower would be. It's just a little bit on the smaller side. Now, the unit itself with the battery in it ready to go weighs just shy of 20 pounds. So it's going to be a little bit heavier than your average string trimmer, but it's still definitely feasible for your average person to use this thing, especially if you put the handle in the center and you balance it out very nicely. Now, let me cover some pros and cons that I've come across just kind of doing an overview of this yet. Like I said, it's real easy to handle. The weight's not too bad. It's a little bit heavier than your average string trimmer. This is going to be really good for your detail work. The places that your regular snowblower really can't go. Places you can't take it, on top of elevated surfaces, on top of porches, decks, things like that. Things that where a regular snowblower is too big or too heavy to kind of put on a place like that. This is also going to be perfect for surfaces that you're really worried about scratching up, especially if you were to use a regular traditional snowblower on, especially some of the larger, heavier 2-stage units. Wooden decks, soft steps like limestone steps, porches. You have expensive pavers you've put in for walkways around the house or various other places, and you're really concerned about scratching it up. That plastic skid on the bottom is not going to scratch up sensitive stonework or wood the way metal skids on a traditional style snowblower would. It's nice and small. You can hang it up. It doesn't take that much room. You don't have to clear out a spot in your garage for this like you might have to with a traditional snowblower. This is relatively low maintenance. There's really very little maintenance on this. Toro has some recommended maintenance requirements in their owner's manual. Basically, all you really need to do is keep it clean and then just have some recommended ways that it should be stored for the long term, but it's very, very simple. They just have recommended that you keep it in a dry conditions and keep the battery charged to a certain level. And obviously, it's electric, so it's very, very quiet, especially compared to something similar that might be gas power. I would say sound-wise, it's probably equivalent to your average indoor vacuum. So really not very loud at all. When at the end of the video, I'll put the battery in it, and even though it's still relatively warm outside and we don't have any snow, I'll just run the motor just so you can get an idea of how loud it actually is. Only real cons I see for this is it's obviously not as capable as a regular snowblower. It doesn't have the clearing width, it doesn't have the depth, so it just doesn't have the capabilities of what a regular snowblower will. But I think that this would complement a snowblower, a big snowblower, the way a weed whacker would complement a lawnmower. So, and the only real other bad thing I find with pretty much all these electric power shovels is they don't have a chute. Basically, it will, as the impeller comes around, it will grab the snow and throw it directly out in front of the power shovel itself. A traditional snowblower is going to have a chute that you can turn left or right. So on smaller places, decks, porches, steps, not really a big deal. The only time you might run into a little bit of an issue is longer driveways or longer walkways. You might actually have to angle the power shovel itself just so you're not throwing it directly in front of you and then having to throw it again. You basically just go at a little bit of angle and throw it off into the lawn or somewhere else where you don't mind depositing the snow. Let me talk about who I think that this is recommended for. Somebody who wants a little bit more than a shovel. You want something that makes the job a little bit easier and you really don't want to use a traditional shovel. Some people live in townhouses, condominiums. You don't have the room for a regular snowblower. You don't have to lug a regular snowblower around. This is a much more viable option. You have a lot of small spaces or elevated spaces. Like I said before, decks, porches, places where a regular snowblower is just too big or too heavy to take onto an elevated surface, this will be much, much better for that in those small areas as well. Like I said before, if you're worried about damage, you have some really expensive stonework you put in and you're really worried, even a regular metal shovel would possibly damage, or a shovel with a metal scraper blade on it could possibly gouge soft or expensive stonework, or even wooden surfaces. This having the plastic skid on it, that is more of a sacrificial part, so it's not going to potentially damage your expensive stonework as much as something with a metal edge on it would. And then I think one other aspect that is definitely should be considered with something like this is the health aspect of it. Now, what I mean by that is, it is very, very common for people to overexert themselves when they shovel snow. Unfortunately, it's a very common thing we hear about. People, they just, when they're removing snow, especially wet, heavy, deep snow, they will overexert themselves. They can hurt themselves. Some people end up in the hospital because they push themselves harder than they should. So this is perfect for either you, a friend, a family member, and you're concerned that they're going to go out, even though you may tell them not to. They might go out and try to do some snow removal themselves when they probably shouldn't be. This is going to take the overwhelming majority of the actual workload away, and it's going to put it on the electric motors itself, where you don't have to pick up that heavy snow with a shovel the way you traditionally would. This is basically going to do the majority of the heavy lifting for a situation like that. Now, who I think this is kind of not for, someone who lives in a northern climate where you're getting a lot of really consistent, deep, heavy snows. I don't think this would be the best. I think you're better off going with a single stage unit if you're living there. But if you're living in a climate where maybe you get a little bit of snow and you want some mechanical help, but you really can't justify getting a single stage, I think this is perfect for somebody like that. Maybe your Toro recommends this for up to a 4-car driveway, which I think is okay if you're getting light, maybe a little bit of medium snow here and there. But if you're getting a lot of heavy snow, definitely go with a single stage. Toro does make electric single stages as well. I think you're better off spending a little bit of extra money if you're going for something like that. You get to pick up a lot more clearing width and a lot more clearing depth, especially if you're seeing significant snows on a regular basis. And if you do want to pick up something like this, I wouldn't use this as your primary. This is a perfect, either a backup or, like I said before, for your detail work, your small areas where your snowblower can't go. Like I was saying earlier in the video, this complements a big snowblower, whether it's a 2-stage or a single stage, the way a weed whacker complements a lawnmower. It gets in those little spots where you really can't take the bigger machines, and it makes the workload a little bit easier. So that's kind of my overview on how I sort of gauge this unit from what I've seen so far. Now, it hasn't snowed where I live yet. It's still really warm. I don't expect snow for another month or so. But once it snows, I will take this out and do an overview of me using it in the snow, to get my initial impressions of using it in the snow and show you how it works. That being said, let me put the battery in, and I will let you know, I will show everyone what this thing sounds like. So battery goes in the back. Battery locks in place. Cover's held down by the magnet. I'll start it in first speed, and then I will also run it in the higher second speed, just so everyone can get an idea what this thing actually sounds like. Now, I will flip my microphone around to make it as accurate as possible. All right, so this is first speed. And this is second speed, the high speed. So as you can see, really not much louder than your average vacuum is going to be. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.